Welcome back. We're going to take you now into a country where it's against the law to criticize the president, where just about the only information available through television, radio, and print is a steady 24/7 diet of news from government-owned sources. That's the state of media play in the Central Asian Republic of Turkmenistan. The country's record on free speech and a free media is so bad that the media watch group Reporters Without Borders says it's the third worst country in the world to try to report from. The Listening Post's Simon Ostrovsky has been to the former Soviet Republic to see for himself what it's like to live in a media desert.
In Turkmenistan, there's only one story on TV. News reports are like a running documentary about the only man that matters, President Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. Since the death of President for Life Sapir Murat Niyazov 2 years ago, the new leader has ruled with an iron fist, and few of the restrictions on freedom put in place by his predecessor have been relaxed. Freedom of speech is no exception.
I would say it's probably one of the worst places to live in the world. Absolutely no freedom of the press, absolutely no way you could voice any kind of opinion. It is still virtually a police state.
Turkmenistan recently announced the existence of a giant gas field that may mean it has the second largest natural gas reserves in the world. Western companies and officials are now lining up to secure energy deals, but locals complain that the gas is being paid for with their freedom.
We are hostages to the gas. It's sacred. Economic interests are considered more important than people's basic rights.
So little press freedom exists in Turkmenistan that the media watchdog Reporters Without Borders has labeled the country as part of the infernal trio. Only Eritrea and North Korea rank lower on the organization's Press Freedom Index. The situation is so dire that the Norwegian Helsinki Committee, a human rights group that keeps tabs on events in Central Asia, helped fund the report you're watching to help publicize what they feel is a forgotten cause. Restrictions on the foreign media are tight too. The only way for a foreigner to spend more than a few days in the country is to pay for an official tour on which you're shadowed by a watchful, government-approved guide. So much of what we shot had to be filmed covertly while the guide wasn't looking.
It's a rule to get a picture of policemen and checkpoints and bridges and strategical objects or money.
So aside from the president, what else passes as news in Turkmenistan?
Удивительное дерево туркменской природы.
Out walking one day, I bumped into this news crew. They were filming some trees.
Это типа у вас тут горячая новость такая, осень наступила.
Да, у нас это редкость,
Да, осень, да?
Those that do speak out against the regime are thrown in prison and never heard from again. Ogul Sapir Muradova was a Turkmen journalist for Radio Free Europe. In 2006, she died in prison of severe beatings, according to activists who saw photos of her body. Meanwhile, Ana Kurban Amanklichev and Sapardurdi Hajiev were locked up for 7 years each, simply for helping a journalist from TV station France 2 while she was doing an investigation into human rights abuses in the country. They were caught with a hidden camera she had given them and were branded as spies. Later, guns were planted in a car and they were accused of illegal possession.
People don't want to speak, after this arrestation. I guess that it's a proof that if you speak openly, even if your face is hidden, it's so dangerous for you and your relative that you cannot speak.
Finding somebody who's critical of the government to talk to is really difficult in Turkmenistan because people are afraid of what will happen to them if anybody sees their interview on television. So we're having to meet people at night, and I'm on my way to somebody's house to do a secret interview.
I asked a dissident who requested total anonymity why it was so difficult to get people in Turkmenistan to give interviews. I was told anyone caught talking to the press could be disappeared or accused of being a drug addict or dealer and thrown in prison. More importantly, no one expects foreign media reports to be able to change anything. Berdimuhamedov's supporters claim he's a reformer. He's changed some of the more outlandish rules imposed by the previous president, who, for example, named the months of the year after family members. But in other areas, the rollback of freedoms continues. In October, the president created a new state commission for literary works, whose approval authors will have to seek to be published. In most places, that's called censorship, but in Turkmenistan, the government calls it quality control. In another anonymous interview, I found out that Western countries no longer pressure Turkmenistan to conform to Western standards of human rights. Since Berdimuhamedov's rise to power, the priority is to tap the country's gas riches.
We're at a very critical moment in Turkmenistan's history because of this new revelation of massive reserves of natural gas. So it's up to the West, if we go in there, to exploit these gas fields, to insist on transparency, on good governance and accountability. Our fear is that these things are going to be left behind in the mad rush for gas and oil.
The primary concern of visiting Europeans and Americans hasn't been issues like freedom of speech. It's that Turkmen gas doesn't go to China or Russia. Officially, Turkmenistan only has a few state TV channels broadcasting from this building. But a proliferation of satellite dishes receiving foreign signals attests to people's desire for programming from other sources. According to rights groups, the government has ordered thousands of dishes to be removed and replaced with cable services it controls, under the pretext that the dishes are an eyesore. In Turkmenistan, everything that's printed on paper, books, newspapers, school books, has to be run off here in the state printing house behind me. When the president for life, Turkmenbashi, died in 2006, people hoped that that might change, but it looks like the only thing that's changed is the portrait on the posters around the city. Turkmenbashi was the name the country's ruler bestowed upon himself. It means father of all Turkmen. The former president's book, the Ruhnama, was elevated to the status of a holy script and is to this day required reading for school children. But go into the Ruhnama bookshop and you'll see evidence of the new president's emerging cult of personality. There's already books featuring the new president on sale. Elsewhere, too, the first president's portrait is being replaced with the new leader's image. Now the state media's sole role seems to be to reinforce his authority, and there's no room for any criticism.
More Global Village Voices now on Turkmenistan.
When the new president came to power last year, we were hoping for changes in lots of areas, and one of those areas was media and access to information. Unfortunately, that's really one area where we haven't seen change. It's been a great disappointment to people, I think, in Turkmenistan and certainly outside it. The media really continue to be in the hands of the state and to act as, not as free agents, but as instruments of this bureaucratic authoritarian machine. They put out state messages, what the state's doing today, what the latest line is. If propaganda shifts from one area to another, then the media shifts with it. There's very little more than that. There's little access to external media, even to Russian media that is limited, and people really only get what the government chooses to tell them, and journalists really are the state's instrument for relaying those messages.
And in terms of internet, which is maybe where the new president has made the most bold kind of statements, this is also not something that is really accessible to ordinary Turkmens. You have to show your passport when you go into an internet cafe, and you also have to sign a statement saying that you're not going to try to access websites that are considered harmful by the authorities. Also, of course, they block several important international websites where you can get information about what is really happening in the world.
Finally, a video you might want to Facebook your friends with. Facebook is the social networking phenomenon that has eaten millions, probably billions, of otherwise useful human hours. There are now a few viral videos making the rounds on the net that take a run at the site. This one's our favorite, and not just because of the 4.8 million hits it's attracted. It's a reworked version of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire and comes courtesy of an outfit called rebelvirals.com. It's our Internet Video of the Week. We'll see you next time at The Listening Post.
Facebook is a crime when people have too much time sending me requests, IQ and brain tests. Please don't hug me, give me your graffiti. Hot or not, so what? I don't wanna know. Movie quiz, sex quiz, stupid Johnny Depp quiz, Family Guy, which one am I? They all have to